So what does it mean to be saved exactly? I mean, practically every Christian has heard something about how they'll be saved this way or that way, but if we really get down into it, salvation is just to be freed from all consequences of sin, including death. But why do we even need to be saved in the first place? What even got us into this position where we need to be saved? Well, in Genesis chapters 1 and 2, God created Adam and Eve, and they were perfect, as was stated in chapter 1, verse 31. However, when they sinned in chapter 3, verses 1 to 6, they ceased from being perfect. Instead, they were now tainted with sin. Unfortunately, that tainting didn't end with them, but passed through all of their children, tainting the entirety of mankind, as Paul said in Romans 5:12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. Therefore we cease from being able to live forever, because all those who have sinned in them will eventually die, as Paul again told us in Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death. However, God still wanted his people to live forever, as he is a very loving God, but that perfect life in the Garden of Eden was desecrated and had to be recompensed first. This law was laid out in Deuteronomy 19:21, how everything lost must be repaid back. And then eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So for the curse of death to be removed, he gave a life equivalent to the perfect life lost in the Garden of Eden, which was Jesus Christ, as he is perfect himself, as was stated by Peter in 1 Peter 2 verse 22. In John 3:16, Jesus Christ, talking about the ransom and its purpose, stated, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." But note that it says, those who believe in him. That means that Christ's sacrifice will not apply to us if we've not been righteous. King Solomon said the exact same thing in Proverbs chapter 2 verses 21 and 22. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. Therefore, if we become sinners at any time and don't return back to God, we won't be saved, no matter how old we are. But then, what happens to all of our righteousness that we've already displayed before God before that point where we sinned? Well, we were told in Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 24 that actually if we become sinners and don't repent, all the righteous deeds we'd done before that point won't count. The verse states, "But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he has trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die." So Ezekiel has made it quite clear here that all the righteousness from before doesn't count. Salvation is like the prize at the end of a race. We don't get the prize halfway through or at the beginning, but when we cross the finish line. Once we have lived our lives righteously, it is then that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ can be applied to us, which is what saves us from death, and then we'll be granted permission to live forever. This was said in Hebrews 3:14, where it states, "For we are made partakers of Christ, if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end." So that is what it means to be saved. But in that world where we'll live after we've been saved, what would it look like? Well, as stated, everything that we have in this world because of sin wouldn't be with us anymore. Nobody would get sick, face sorrow, or die anymore, according to the words of Isaiah the prophet in Isaiah chapter 65 verses 17 to 25. This was also laid out in Revelation chapter 21 verse 4, where it says, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." But that's the end of this video. If you have any comments, you can put them in the comment section below. But if you like the video, then you can support my channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell so you'll be notified of when I post again. Have a great day, and I'd love to see you soon.